Assalamu alaikum. 6 p.m. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Farzana Khan. First, the headlines. Pakistan has introduced travel permission regime for U.S. Embassy and consulate staff across the country, reciprocating the new U.S. travel permission regime for Pakistani diplomats. The launching ceremony of Radio Pakistan's music channel Dhanak will be held at National Broadcasting House, Islamabad this evening. Day of mourning was observed in Azad Kashmir today to condemn massive human rights violations in occupied Kashmir. In Afghanistan, 34 police personnel have been killed in Taliban attacks in Farah province. And now the news in detail. Pakistan has decided to introduce from today a travel permission regime for the U.S. Embassy and consulate staff across the country, reciprocating travel permission regime introduced by the U.S. government on Pakistani diplomats and officials. A letter issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the Embassy of the United States says the U.S. diplomatic cargo at Pakistani airports and ports will be strictly treated in accordance with the provisions of Article 27 of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, which does not provide for exemption from scanning. The letter said the rules governing interaction between Pakistan government officials and foreign diplomats, which were shared with the U.S. Embassy on 27th of last month, will be strictly implemented. Chairman Senate Sadiq Sanjarani has directed Ministry of Foreign Affairs to brief the House on restrictions imposed by the United States on the movements of Pakistani diplomats in Washington. He issued the directives during session of the Upper House in Islamabad today. Islamabad High Court has ruled that the U.S. Defense and Air Attaché Colonel Emmanuel Joseph does not have absolute immunity. The court also granted 2 weeks to the Ministry of Interior Affairs to decide over placing his name on the Exit Control List, ECL. IHC Chief Justice Amir Farooq today read out its earlier reserved verdict over the killing of a resident of Islamabad, Atiq Beg, after he was hit by a vehicle driven by Colonel Joseph last month. Economic Coordination Committee has approved supply of 35,000 metric tons of wheat from PASCO to World Food Programme for distribution among the temporary displaced persons of FATA. The approval was accorded during ECC meeting held in Islamabad today with Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan Abbasi in the chair. The meeting also approved provision of an additional guarantee of 20 billion rupees to PIA to meet expenditure for overhauling of aircraft engines. The meeting directed Aviation Division and the Finance Ministry to ensure financing support approved by the ECC. Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan Abbasi has arrived in Karachi on a visit to the city. Prime Minister will inaugurate National Incubation Center in Karachi. He will also participate in a ceremony of the country's first deep water container port. Radio Pakistan will launch its music channel Dhanak today. The launching ceremony will be held at National Broadcasting House, Islamabad at 7 p.m. Minister for Information and Broadcasting, National History and Literary Heritage, Mariam Aurangzeb, will be the chief guest on the occasion. A day of mourning was observed in Azad Kashmir today to condemn the massive human rights violations, killings of unarmed Kashmiri youth, and illegal detention of Hurriyat leaders in occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Call for observing the day was given by AJK Prime Minister Raja Farooq Haider Khan. The state flag was flying at half-mast to mark the day. Ulama and religious scholars in their Friday sermons strongly condemned the atrocities of Indian troops on the unarmed Kashmiris struggling for their internationally recognized right to self-determination. They appealed OIC, the United Nations and other peace-loving countries of the world to take serious notice of the deteriorating human rights situation in the Hell Valley and exert pressure on India to stop bloodshed of Kashmiri Muslims. In Afghanistan, 34 police personnel have been killed in attacks by Taliban on their bases in Farah province. A senior official in Farah province said the militants stormed a police base overnight in Baba Bulak district, killing at least 23 personnel and wounding 3 others. He said 11 more personnel were killed in a militant attack on another base in Farah city. The militants also seized a large quantity of weapons and equipment. And finally, the weather report. Mainly hot and dry weather is likely to prevail in most parts of the country during the next 12 hours. However, rain and thunder showers with gusty winds is expected at a few places in Quetta and Job divisions and Fata. And that is the end of the news. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.